overcrowding the pan, using the wrong baking sheet, and forgetting to preheat the oven. If you're looking to up your canned biscuit game, these are just a few of the mistakes you'll want to avoid. When cooking with canned biscuits, the first thing you want to get right is making sure you've picked the right fit for your dish. Brands you would find at your grocery store typically have biscuit options with different flavors or textures, like Southern style, buttermilk, or flaky, to name a few. Imsen Senwasi of Ambitious Foodie said, "Classic buttermilk biscuits are a staple and super versatile. They have a rich, buttery flavor and a light, fluffy texture, perfect for breakfast sandwiches, biscuits and gravy, or just slathering with butter and jam." Another common canned biscuit choice are hearty Southern-style biscuits, which are known for being denser than other varieties. Senwasi said, "They're fantastic for more substantial meals, like topping a pot pie or serving alongside a hearty stew." Many people swear by a particular biscuit brand, as not all brands may be up to the same level of quality. The brand may also be important if you're looking for organic biscuits without artificial ingredients. There are even canned biscuit options for those with gluten sensitivities. Senwasi said, brands like Pillsbury offer gluten-free options that are pretty tasty and have a good texture.
Ooh, biscuits!
If you found your can of biscuits at the back of your fridge, be sure to check the expiration date before cracking it open. While that may sound like an obvious rule of thumb, our experts say that it's one that can be all too easy to overlook. Senwasi urged, using expired biscuits can affect the taste and texture. Fresh is best, so keep an eye on those dates. While your biscuits may still be okay to eat from a food safety perspective, the various dates listed on your packaging typically refer to when you can expect changes in the product quality. A best if used by date shows the best product quality or flavor, while the sell by date is guidance from manufacturers for retailers to remove the products from shelves in order to maintain a consistent level of quality. The use by date also doesn't serve as a safety warning, with some exceptions. Instead, it also guides you to when a product will be at the best quality. So if you want the best quality biscuits coming out of your can, avoid using them past the expiration date. If you do decide to use expired canned biscuits, be sure there are no signs of spoiling like discoloration, mold, off odors, or issues with texture. Another bad sign, your can is bloated or doesn't appear to be intact. Be sure to discard those biscuits immediately, as that can be a sign of bacterial contamination. Many times, biscuits are already pre-sectioned or pre-cut to make it easy to rip and stick them on the baking sheet quickly. However, if you find yourself needing to shape the dough more with your hands, use caution. Amy Jam, co-owner of Bread Bros in California, said, "Don't overwork the dough. When you do, your biscuits end up tough. And who likes that? Simply take the dough straight from the can, position it on your baking sheet, and pop it in the oven. Easy does it. But why work with canned biscuit dough in the first place if all the hard work is supposedly done for you? Some recipes used canned biscuit dough as a base for more complex dishes, requiring you to reshape them for something like monkey bread. If this is your situation, Senwasi recommends handling the dough as little as possible. Senwasi adds that overworking the dough can make your biscuits tough, instead of light and fluffy. If you feel like your canned biscuits are a little underwhelming, our experts have some inspiration. Biscuits are a great blank canvas that's open to fun additions. The added touch can be as simple as spreading some butter or herbs, or by stuffing your biscuits with a fun filling. Senwasi said, "For that extra touch of yum, don't forget to brush your biscuits with melted butter before baking. It gives them a beautiful golden color and a delicious flavor boost. You can also go big by stuffing your biscuits with cheese. To do this, separate your biscuit layers and put cheese in between. You can also utilize muffin tins to keep the ingredients from seeping out of the sides. Add in ham with your cheese to make it a protein-packed pocket."
Do you like ham and cheese, Frank?
Oh, thank you, miss.
Putting too many biscuits onto a baking sheet or pan overcrowds them. You may end up with one giant, unattractive, undercooked mess. Lindsay Sears McDonald, owner and baker of All About the Cinnamon in Los Angeles, said the most common problem is not knowing when your biscuits are cooked appropriately. She noted that an underbaked biscuit is raw and an overbaked biscuit is dense and not fluffy. How do you know if you are overcrowding your biscuits? Jam says it's as simple as following the instructions on the package to evenly space your biscuits on your baking sheet. She added, "That little bit of room will make sure each one cooks up nice and even, which ends up in perfectly fluffy biscuits every time." However, there are situations where crowding the pan may actually be to your benefit. If you struggle with getting your biscuits to rise tall, try placing them close together in a cast iron skillet or pan. Don't place them together too closely. However, having your biscuits just barely touching, combined with the higher walls of a cast iron skillet, may keep them from spreading out.
Nothing fancy, but she gets the job done, like a cast iron skillet or Kevin Bacon.
Extreme sticking on the pan can ruin a dish, especially biscuits. Using a spatula to get them off the pan can result in the bottom layer getting left behind. Luckily, there are ways to avoid that mess. Senwasi said, whether it's parchment paper or a silicone baking mat, using a liner on your baking sheet helps prevent sticking and makes cleanup a breeze. Plus, it can help with even browning on the bottom of your biscuits. You can typically find parchment paper at the grocery store. This silicone-infused paper can be the perfect non-stick agent to allow your biscuits to get golden brown and come up easily with the help of a spatula. Parchment paper also helps maintain a more regular temperature and battles those tough hot spots on your baking sheet. If you decide to opt for a reusable silicone baking mat, there are plenty of options out there. Just be sure to take care of your mat properly, including cleaning it the best way, and take a minute before using it to ensure that there are no tears or cuts. Also, it's always smart to read the mat's package to ensure your mat is able to handle the temperature required for your biscuits. When you think of biscuits, you may not automatically think of dessert, but canned biscuits don't necessarily have to be savory. They can actually give you a head start when making a sweet treat without rolling out pastry dough or making your own dough from scratch. For instance, with a can of dough, you already have the base for recipes like pull-apart monkey bread. If you get some cutters and mix up some cinnamon sugar, you've got yourself halfway to a donut. Add fruit filling in between sheets of pre-cut biscuits, and you have mini pies. You can also use biscuit scraps that are already baked to make a biscuit bread pudding. Shortcake is technically considered a biscuit, so repurpose your canned biscuits to make an homage to a traditional strawberry shortcake. With some creativity and an open mind, the options are practically endless. Not only are biscuits great for dessert, but they can be the base of a whole meal. Amy Jam said, I found that canned biscuits are incredibly versatile in the kitchen and can be used for everything from dumplings and soup to the perfect base for homemade cinnamon rolls. If you're putting together a quick breakfast sandwich, a canned biscuit could add just the right touch. Hearty favorites like a classic chicken and dumplings recipe or a variety of warming pot pie recipes can be made all the easier with the use of canned biscuit dough. Senwasi said, use the biscuits as a quick crust for a pot pie. Fill a baking dish with cooked chicken, mixed vegetables, and creamy sauce, then top with biscuits. Bake until the biscuits are golden brown and the filling is bubbly. There are also fun ways to utilize any leftover biscuit scraps that may not have made it from the can in the best shape. Throw the scraps in a soup to make a quick version of soup dumplings, for instance, or twist them up and brush with butter to make little biscuit sticks that you can then bake. Or consider baking up the leftover biscuit dough to make croutons and dress up a salad. Even if you follow the instructions on the biscuit can to the letter, your results can be dramatically skewed by your cookware choice. For canned biscuits, a non-stick baking sheet is usually sufficient. Senwasi suggested a light-colored, non-insulated baking sheet for the purpose. Dark or insulated baking sheets can cause the bottoms of the biscuits to brown too quickly or even burn. If you opt for a darker baking sheet, lower your oven temperature by 25 degrees and decrease your baking time by around 4 minutes. Darker metal pans absorb and spread heat more efficiently, meaning less cooking time and heat is necessary. This can be an asset for dishes you want to get crisp. If you don't have a non-stick baking sheet, a cast iron skillet is also a potentially good option. Jam said, to get that delightful light crust, you should use a light-colored non-stick baking sheet or even a cast iron skillet. This helps keep the tops of the biscuits tender and flaky. Frying up stovetop biscuits with the cast iron skillet and some butter can help give you a caramelized crust and can be even quicker than going through the oven preheating and baking process. Sears McDonald also suggested a 9-inch by 13-inch casserole dish for biscuit recipes. You might be anxious to get your dough in the oven, but don't let them sit around inside the device while it's preheating. Jam said, always, and I mean always, preheat your oven, as the can suggests. Why exactly is preheating so important? This step gets the oven warmed up and allows your biscuits to cook properly for the entire baking time. Senwasi said, starting in a cold oven can result in uneven baking, and nobody wants biscuits that are doughy on the inside and overcooked on the outside. But the oven doesn't necessarily have to stay empty during preheating. Another trick to get your biscuits just right is to also preheat your pan. Jam said, for perfectly textured biscuits that brown evenly, pop your baking sheet in the oven to heat up before you bake them.
It's biscuits o'clock!
If you end up with leftovers, that's great. But if you want to enjoy your biscuits later, be sure to store them properly. If you plan on eating your biscuits sooner rather than later, Jam recommends putting them in an airtight container and keeping them at room temperature for a couple of days. For longer-term storage options, cool your biscuits completely on a wire rack, then wrap them tightly with aluminum foil or in freezer bags. This will keep your biscuits from drying out. If using bags, be sure to get all air out before sealing. Biscuits will typically stay good for up to 1 week in the fridge and up to 3 months in the freezer. After those 3 months, your frozen biscuit should still be safe to eat but may not be the same quality as when they were first baked. As for enjoying those frozen biscuits, it's best to get your oven going yet again. However, it's a simple process. Sears McDonald said, when ready to reheat, temp your oven to 300 and bake for 15 minutes.